Hello and welcome to the official start to the Labor Day weekend. My name is Bob Reiter and I am president of the Chicago Federation of Labor. Normally, I would be giving this speech in a room of more than 1,200 participants at the annual CFL and CFL Workforce and Community Initiative Labor Day Luncheon. But this year has certainly been anything but normal. So instead, I'm coming to you online for our virtual CFL Labor Day celebration. Though the COVID-19 pandemic has changed our lives in countless ways, Labor Day is one tradition that will endure no matter what. Before I make my remarks, I want to give a few shout outs to some people and organizations very special to the CFL. Thank you to CFL Secretary Treasurer Don Villar, who never stops fighting for working people in Chicago and beyond. Thank you to this year's Labor Day Committee, Rosetta Daly, our CFL First Vice President and my dear friend, Don Finn from the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 134, Greg Kelly from SEIU Healthcare, and Gary Perinar from the Chicago Regional Council of Carpenters. I also want to give a special thanks to Brian Hickey, President Business Manager of Local 399 and General Secretary Treasurer of the International Union of Operating Engineers. The CFL Labor Day Luncheon started at Local 399, and Brian will always be an honorary member of this committee. Thank you to the Executive Boards and Finance Committee members of the CFL and CFL Workforce and Community Initiative for your continuous support. Thank you to Tim Dre and to Pat Devaney of the Illinois AFL-CIO and to Ralph Affronti and Mike Masaleo of the Chicago and Cook County Building and Construction Trades Council for your continued partnership and collaboration. Thank you to the staffs of the CFL and the CFL Initiative and our extended staff for your amazing work throughout the year. Thank you to all of the amazing city, county, state, and federal elected officials who have supported working women and men in Chicago and Cook County over the past year, including Governor Pritzker, Mayor Lightfoot, President Preckwinkle, Speaker Madigan, President Harmon, Senator Durbin, and Senator Duckworth. And finally, thank you to our sponsors at all levels for making this event such a success. I want to especially recognize our Fitzpatrick Circle sponsor, the Chicago Regional Council of Carpenters, and our Solidarity Circle sponsors, including IUOE Local 150, Bricklayers Administrative District Council 1, Chicago and Cook County Building and Construction Trades Council, Chicago Laborers District Council, IBEW Local 134, Painters District Council 14, SEIU Illinois State Council, Teamsters Local 731, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois, ComEd, GCM Grosvenor, People's Gas, Ulico, and Governor J.B. Pritzker. I would also like to thank our Haymarket Circle sponsors, including Automobile Mechanics Local 701 and IAM Local 126, Heat and Frost Insulators Local 17, IATSE Locals 2, 750, 110, 476, 829, 769, and 600, IBEW Local 9, Illinois Education Association, IUOE Local 399, Iron Workers International, Plumbers Local 130 UA, Teamsters Joint Council 25, UFCW Local 1546, and the Hunt Insurance Agency. Thank you to our Pullman Circle sponsors. Thank you to our Union Rose Circle sponsors. And thank you to our Gompers Park Circle sponsors. You can see a complete list of our CFL Labor Day sponsors at cfllaborday.com. There is no denying that 2020 has been an immensely challenging year for all of us. Workers are not celebrating right now. Workers are doing whatever they can to live their lives during an unimaginable public health, and economic catastrophe that has also exposed our need to recommit to social and economic justice. These days, it can feel like our world is dominated by the latest outrageous tweet, and many of us can get triggered and lose focus of the issues that truly matter in our state and our country. But in times of crisis, union women and men rise to the occasion, keeping our city and our country moving no matter what. Throughout 2020, we have heard amazing stories of union members stepping in to help under tremendous stress, putting their own health and safety on the line to help others. I think about people like Maria Lopez. Maria was a nurse in robotic surgery at the University of Illinois Hospital and a proud member of the Illinois Nurses Association. She was beloved by her colleagues, who called her a mama to everybody and said she had an enormous heart of gold. Maria worked at the hospital for 20 years and was scheduled to retire on April 30th. She had recently undergone knee surgery when COVID hit, and she could have used vacation days to leave her job early, but she felt it was her duty to stay at the hospital and help, because that's what nurses do. They help. In her last month before retirement, Maria contracted COVID-19, and she died on May 4th. There are hundreds more in our city, thousands more in our state, and sadly, more than 180,000 people in our country who have died from COVID. People like David Velaz, a machinist and CFL delegate, and Edward Singleton, a Chicago firefighter, and Unique Clay, a letter carrier. Please join me in a moment of silence to honor the union women and men of Chicago and Cook County who lost their lives to the COVID pandemic or while on the job in the past year. Though this list is not exhaustive, it gives a sense of just how much heartache this crisis has caused. Thank you. These are mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers, friends and neighbors who are getting sick and dying, not just because of the virus, but because of the deadly negligence of federal officials in responding to the pandemic. The theme of the CFL's work for this coming year is beyond essential. We've long known that the workers who keep our city, county, and state moving aren't just essential workers, they are the backbone of our communities. Now more than ever, we must not only thank these workers for their sacrifices, but support them in whatever way we can. Let's take a look at a few more stories of the heroes of the pandemic who are beyond essential to our city, our state, and our country.
Saturday, March 7th. I had no idea it was going to be my last day of work.
It was actually March 16th. That was the day I was a member that got the COVID virus.
The University of Illinois decided to call an external disaster on March 16th.
April the 13th, 2020. You know, the day I actually was one of the members that came up sick.
COVID-19, it is a respiratory pandemic. It's a very aggressive virus. It is rapidly spreading, something that's unprecedented that hasn't been seen in the world before.
Not being prepared cost lives, and one of which was my friend Joyce, and she was only 53 years old.
The virus was all over. I mean, it didn't have any boundaries whatsoever. It was from Cairo to Antioch, from Danville to Quincy.
It's the middle-class people and the kind of poor people that's going to suffer the most.
On March 13th, the director of banquets called and he said, your events are canceled for the rest of March and April. You should file for your unemployment. I had to process everything that was happening pretty fast.
We have seen the literal shutdown of entire industries, people losing their income, having their health care threatened, while also dealing with the anxiety and the real threat of getting a very severe and debilitating illness, which could even result in death.
Initially, we didn't know it was airborne, and there was one unit where all their staff became exposed, all but 3. So that is a reflection of how much we didn't know and how much we were not prepared.
I work at Howard Street, so the first couple of days was very hectic. We are in very close proximity to each other throughout the day. If one person tested positive, then all of us were basically susceptible to that.
After that number got sick, it was a domino effect. They shut the whole plant down for almost 2 weeks. They cleaned, disinfect.
Joyce started having symptoms early April, and she got tested April 14th, and she was dead by the 23rd. And it just happened so fast. Joyce is such a giving person. Her locker was always open for anyone who needed anything, whether it be a pen or a stethoscope. We're gonna keep that to honor her, and we're all going to just fill it with things that she used to, because it makes us feel like she's still with us.
Out of my particular station, we've had about 100 people test positive for COVID. We've also had a few that have passed on.
3 months into this pandemic, we have about 250 members out of 5,000 that tested positive for COVID, and we had 2 members die.
I know for nurses, there were over 100 infected. Early on, when we didn't know so much about it, we would have had more deaths if we didn't have a union, undoubtedly.
It was around 100, 125 or more that also gotten sick. We lost one of the workers along with the USDA government inspector. That was a hard one, somebody you see every morning, talk to every day, to have this little issue come up and take them out like they did.
Prior to COVID-19, we had 15,000 Unite Here members working. Right now, we have 12,000 members laid off.
I know for a fact I was the first member of the fire department to get it. So once I got it, I know the department realized this is a real big deal. And then members started taking it seriously as far as like their disinfecting and their social distancing and wearing a mask.
It's impossible to have safe social distancing when you're dealing with the public in confined spaces such as buses and trains. It took CTA a while to say, okay, well, guess what? We're gonna limit the amount of people that we allow on the bus. But guess what? They didn't even do that on the trains.
All workers are essential. But in the case of the pandemic, we had people who kept the lights on at generating power stations. We had people working grocery stores, people working in nursing homes when 25 patients had the COVID-19 virus, but they still went in. They still changed the beds. They did everything they could while at the same time trying to do it safely and not taking it home to their family. That is heroic.
Our first responders, like nurses, doctors, and firefighters, are essential workers. Those who work in the building trades, who are not only building housing infrastructure, but also help build medical infrastructure. We have Teamsters who drive the trucks that not just deliver our food to the grocery stores, but also deliver medical supplies to our hospitals and our clinics.
If you are that essential, then you should treat people as such. So just imagine the whole system being shut down. No trains, no buses. There's no other entity where you can move millions of people a day. It's essential in that terms. If those of us who are supposedly essential, then they would have made hero pay essential.
What I think we've seen through this pandemic is the weaknesses in our systems and in our institutions, that our economy was predicated not on giving everyone what they need, but by taking things away and shifting it to those who already have means.
There was only one group speaking up for workers in this pandemic, and that was organized labor. We had two tracks, protecting the ones that were absolutely harmed by loss of a job, but at the same time, fighting to protect those people who were still on the job.
Our union has been working constantly with city officials and the department to make sure that we have the proper PPE, making sure we have the proper man count, making sure that we have access to testing, have access to equipment and safety issues as well.
It's so important to be a part of a union just for support. The membership assistance program was one of the things that the union did initially to help the members. So some of the things they needed help was in the banking department, whether it was how to call your bank or your mortgage company. They needed help sending letters to their landlord. They needed food assistance. We've given out 16,000 food gift cards to our members.
Having a union at our hospital, I think, makes our nurses work in a safer environment. And we are safer because we're able to verbalize and voice our opinions on how, no, that's not the safest route.
When there's a need, we try to fill that need, and the Chicago Relief Fund did a great job in making sure people had a safety net if public services were failing.
The Chicago Labor Relief Fund is part of the CFL Workforce and Community Initiative to provide one-time $500 grants for those who are unable to access unemployment benefits. We've been able to issue over $750,000 worth of grants.
Jose, he was a member that I started speaking with. Jose didn't even have money to get to a food bank, so I was thrilled to find out that he was selected to get $500. $500 seems like $5 million when you don't have anything.
Unions are there to advocate for the employee in the workplace, protect their health and safety, set the parameters around their employment to make sure that they can go home at the end of the day.
In 2018, Karen Kent led us out to a strike for us to fight for our health insurance. I'm so grateful for that moment, because had we not gone on strike, it would not preserve me the right to be at home right now with health insurance or job security. It almost wants to bring me to tears, because who knew then that this was gonna happen?
After this happened, being an essential worker, it really made me proud to be able, after the sickness, to get back up and go out there and provide for others. Even though it was scary, we was there.
I'm very amazed by the dedication of my coworkers. It's the one profession that you put your family aside when you're in the hospital. When we're at work, the most important thing is the patient we're caring for.
I am very blessed. I'm very lucky to have a union. And honestly, at this point in my life, if starting all over again, I would not do this without being in a union. It's not worth it.
I'm blessed and fortunate because I know people who don't have insurance. There's just people that don't have a job. There's people that don't have a pension. There's people that don't have a roof over their head. My glass half full, not half empty.
I'm making it, the members are making it, and we're just leaning on each other because we got a hell of a support system. That's what's helping me get through it.
I think the most important thing is stay the course, stick with your union, the union will stick with you, and we're gonna get through this together.
People crave a return to normal. What I crave is workers to be safe. It is truly inspiring to hear the stories of proud union members serving their communities under the most difficult of circumstances. In times of crisis, we as a country have two choices. We can come together to collectively solve our problems, or we can push each other away and fend for ourselves as individuals. The labor movement knows that the only way forward is for us to come together. We must come together to stop the attacks on working people. As Trump's Labor Department and NLRB undercut the rights of unions, the so-called gig economy is misclassifying employees as independent contractors, destroying basic protections for workers. We must pass the PRO Act and the HEROES Act and shift the power away from corporations and back to the working class. We must come together to reverse the obscene economic inequality that has arisen in our country. That means reversing the Trump tax giveaways to big corporations and the wealthiest, and it also means passing the Fair Tax Amendment right here in Illinois. Our tax system is deeply unfair, and this November, we have a chance to start to set things right. And we must come together to finally address the legacy of systemic racism that still pervades our movement, our city, our state, and our country. We cannot retreat into our fears. We must address the issue head on, and we must elevate and center Black and brown voices. And as we come together, I urge you to keep the people who are beyond essential in your heart. People like Maria and David and Edward and Unique and the many more who have sacrificed their lives and their livelihoods during this pandemic. Union members who put their duty before themselves. Because that is what the labor movement is about. That is what the city is about. And that is what this country is about. 2021 is the 125th anniversary of the CFL's founding in 1896, and we can't wait to celebrate. So as you enjoy your Labor Day weekend and you look back on this past year and all the challenges that we've had, I want you to look forward to the next year as we start to overcome everything that we've endured during 2020. And keep September 1st, 2021 marked free on your calendar, because hopefully next year we'll be able to do this in person. Thank you.